TTT THROWDOWN!
On this week's Throwdown, we have Notorious Neil demo the workout.
We've got wall walks, double dumbbell power snatch, double dumbbell power cleans, and box jump overs.
We just started our open prep cycle in TTT Compete. To see 6 of the featured workouts from this training cycle with demos from our on-site athletes and get a free month for a friend if you sign up before January 7th, visit trainingthinktank.com/compete.
This week's Throwdown is 2 7-minute AMRAPs. The first is 3 wall walks, 6 double dumbbell power snatch, and 12 box jump overs. There's a 1-minute rest. The second AMRAP is 3 wall walks, 6 double dumbbell power cleans, and 12 box jump overs.
If you want to get on the leaderboard, see movement standards, or other variations of this workout, look in the description down below.
Who's our demo athlete, Mia?
Funny you asked, Max. This week's demo is Neil. Woo!
That's all the context we're going to get.
Neil is a probably elite level athlete. I don't know. He's really good, really strong, and he's on my team this year.
Targets for this, think for the real high elite level targets, we might be able to push into that 12 plus range, but I think based on how heavy this dumbbell is, that's still an elite score. RX threshold would probably be averaging about 5 rounds per. And then for intermediates, I think because it's a double dumbbell and heavier, I think that threshold to try to like set as a target for yourself would be about 7 rounds in the workout. Boom!
Oh,
what do we have here that hit me in the head?
and the roof. Hey, you want one of these belts? These beautiful Alexis Raptis belts? This one is completely clean, unlike last week's, made by Tupu. You can get one. You just got to comment down below. And we'll pick somebody. Maybe we'll give it to you. Maybe I'll keep it. Who knows?
Let's see it.
Sound cue on. Cheeseburger ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Is that SpongeBob?
I don't know.
All right. Well, this is our first open prep workout of our open prep cycle.
It's gonna be a spicy one.
So what we're doing for all our throwdowns in the open prep cycle is we will have different variations of open style workouts you've seen. This one is like 22.1, but it's remastered, revisited with some new movements.
Yeah, I mean, it was gross enough as it was.
I'm done.
All right, so 3 wall walks, 6 double dumbbell snatches versus the single, and then 12 box jump overs for 7 minutes, then a rest, and then the same torture with double dumbbell power cleans.
Yeah, we wanted to make it where you're not only prepping for the open, but also movements that may come out in the open or quarterfinals for those that know they're going to make it into quarterfinals and want to do well there. So we have some variations like this with a double dumbbell. It's a little bit more challenging.
What do you think's harder, 6 double dumbbell or 12 single?
Double dumbbell for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, the
I
single,
I
think,
sure
is
we're on the same page.
the single. I feel like most people are pretty efficient at now.
Yeah. Is the standard on these the same as we did in the open?
Yeah, we kept it the same. I really like the standard. I hope CrossFit keeps it that way. I think it just keeps people safe in an open environment. If you want to do whatever you want at the games and take those risks, that's fine, but I really like the step down.
Yeah, so we talked technically about it in last week's New Year episode, so you can watch that as well. But this is just a different look because it's a higher box for a male athlete. I think the footwork is slightly different when you have to step off another 4 inches.
Yeah. It depends, right? If you have shorter athletes, like most of the games level athletes that are probably 5'8" to 5'10", versus maybe a guy that's 6'1" or 6'2", they're going to have to jump differently and step off differently.
He's tall. He's probably
Yeah.
6 feet.
Yeah, I think right
it's
around
probably
6 feet.
Yeah. But I mean, it really does change it, right? Like you think about limb length and how easy it is for a taller person to step off. Mia's talked about this in the past, but for her, box jump overs are much easier than maybe the shorter female athlete. So you got to take advantage of that if you're tall, but if you're short, you got to figure a way out of how to get off the box quickly and then jump back up.
He does a really good job of staying relaxed at the top of the box. He's also a very good squatter.
Yeah, he has good positions in the bottom of his squat. At that position where you can land like 1 foot flat and 1 foot kind of on the toe and rotate on the toe is definitely a really efficient sequence. If you could figure out that technically in practice, super helpful to get on and off the box with this standard specifically.
Yeah. And just being relaxed in the bottom of a squat in general. I think that it's really beneficial in the sport.
The 3 wall walks in 22.1, they weren't a huge separator, but in the speed of the later rounds, it actually did matter in the rest. What about in this one? Do you think it's kind of going to be the same, like as you go deeper into the workout? Or?
I think they're, well, because deep into the workout gets rid of going overhead with the dumbbells, I'd say maybe not. If you were doing 15 minutes of double dumbbell snatch, I think so, because that's a lot harder on the shoulders than the single dumbbell. Yeah. In 22.1, I remember thinking that like after doing it, that I shouldn't have taken breaks leading into the wall walks and like kind of push that transition a little harder, which I think you could probably still do here.
He's moving those double dumbbells really fast.
Yeah,
like
it
almost
easy.
looks easy, but that movement is super challenging when you're tired. So intermediate level athletes, this is going to be a big punch in the gut relative to single dumbbell, just in terms of just how challenging that'll get deeper into the workout.
For sure. And I would say it's okay. I know it's only 6, but you could break those. You could do
Yeah.
3 and 3 with a short break, and that's perfectly fine. Especially if that means that you can keep your box jump cadence relatively fast and not have to slow down on your wall walks.
Yeah, and I think also the transitional elements from that to the box and from the box to the wall walk.
Yeah.
The transition from the wall walk to the dumbbell, if you're taking breaks, maybe that wouldn't be the one that I would rush necessarily, but
Neil has a really good wall walk technique. He's really good at upside down things, but he has that 4 steps back, 3 steps to the ground. His hips stay pretty high as he's walking, so he's not putting a lot of pressure on his core.
was that the end of your thought?
Yeah, I had to do
It was an abrupt ending.
I had to do a swallow.
You just did the stop thing. Like,
yeah. And I'm done.
I'm going to wait for her to finish. When he actually gets back to the wall, Mia, let's talk about some of those points of performance. We've actually posted those on Instagram. I'm sure we'll see wall walks again at some point. So I think it's worth for people knowing, or worth people to look at and know how to do the wall walk correctly.
Yeah, I think at that point it's just about speed and efficiency, because they just add up when you're doing a lot of other work and you're under fatigue. I think just being able to not get sloppy and be upside down for longer than you need to is just important.
How long are you allowed to have knee sleeves, you think?
What do you mean?
When do you throw them out? Mike McGee's in the background. wearing
Mike's
those
not allowed
same-
to ever throw his out because I don't think I can handle it emotionally.
Man,
Why? 'Cause
his
those are
smells so
lucky?
bad. He
'Cause
wears
they're
those
just-
and they're just awful.
They're
Hold
just
on,
like
hold on.
who he
Well, we got to
is.
do points of
Yeah.
performance, and then we can talk about Mike's
All right,
sweaty
circle back,
gross.
circle back.
Yeah.
So what I talk about a lot in the intermediate path is making sure that you're always taking the same amount of steps towards the wall and back down to the ground on wall walks. For a movement like a wall walk, I think it's better to rest an extra second or two on the ground versus let the rep itself get slower. Because if it's going to
Totally
net
agree
the
with that.
same amount of time, you might as well take those extra 3 seconds resting versus taking 2 extra steps towards the wall, because that's more tiring.
Yeah, and more time under tension. You just, like you said, you get so much more fatigued.
So I guess we can talk about them again next time.
Yeah, and what about Mike's sweaty knees sleeves? They're gross? Or
He's had
What do you
those
mean?
since, like,
They smell awful.
2015.
The best part is that they don't see on his knees like at all. Like he does one squat and then I call them his knee nip slips. They just like pop out right away.
His knees are slipping?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the comfort blankie that you have as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically what it is, just nasty and old.
See, look,
There he
they're
is.
not on his
Yeah.
knees. He's probably done 2 squats.
So they got a minute left. They have a minute left in this portion, right? 7 minutes?
Yes, yes.
So in this format, do you think that you tell people finishing kick knowing you got another 7-minute AMRAP following it?
So if the scoring was, either way, if it was total reps or if there were 2 different scores, I still think you have to kick on both.
Yeah.
And you have to take that risk. You know, you have a 1-minute rest. I know that sucks, but there have been other open workouts with a 1-minute rest where you still have to push that last little bit.
Yeah, basically you want to like push the throttle down to the point that you're not redlined enough that you can't recover
Correct.
in a minute, but you can't just like hold a 14-minute pace throughout.
And these movements, at least for someone like Neil, they're not going to redline him to the point where he can't recover it if he picks up his pace the last minute of the workout, which just seems like he
You
is
can
doing.
see those
You can
got a
see
little
there's
hard.
urgency, yeah.
You could see his shoulders are a little fatigued though, based on the
His
double dumbbell
shoelaces are
snatch.
fatigued.
Oh, I see that.
All right.
He's
We-
going to have to
we've got a minute
tie his
rest after
shoelace in the rest. Bam, and time. And now we got a minute. Let's see. Is he going to tie it? Is he going to
Does
notice?
he even know? Oh, there
he
we go.
knows.
He's
Yeah.
freaking dialed
What a
in.
pro.
Let's watch his technique.
I forgot,
Is he the loop-de-doop?
I forgot that there was a rest. I was like, man, this dude's really going to take a sweet-ass time to tie this shoe.
And you like got a nice artsy photo of it. Too.
I was like, man, he's really going for
He
it.
did the double knot too. He didn't do the bunny ears. What's the other one called? Where you?
Loop, swoop, and pull.
He did the loop, swoop, pull, and then double knot.
The bunny
I'm a
ears is
triple
way
knotter.
faster when you're in a workout though.
Really?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
I
If
don't-
my shoe comes undone, I just double knot a bunny ear.
I don't know.
So
if I know
interesting
how.
that his resting position is that like squatty position. That's the last thing I would do to
That's
rest.
how I rest too.
That's how I rest.
My body does not do that.
In a squat?
Yeah, or like it's called like a combat stance, like half squat on one and knee on the other.
I'll rest like that, but not.
Well, no,
not
he was
yeah, he was squat.
Yeah.
His squat's better than mine though.
All right,
And
here
3,
we go.
2, 1, run it back. And then now we start from the same spot in the workout, but the workout's just different in that they're doing double dumbbell power cleans. So I think the second one's easier.
Well, you know,
ish.
You would think
Depends.
that
Easier
until
on the shoulders.
Yeah, I don't think they're as easy on the shoulders as people think though, because double dumbbell power cleans are still very taxing on your shoulders.
Yeah, front delt and bicep.
Yeah, so I think
yeah.
they'll still play a role. Now these guys are pretty strong, so they're kind of throwing them up there. But by the end of the 14 minutes, I think that you'll be surprised at how hard it is.
One thing to note too, I mean, Zach's doing a different workout, but the speed of his wall walk there and the speed to the dumbbells was just way faster. I think that, you know, based on the workout structure, box jumps might slow it down a little bit, but it's just something to illustrate that movement speed, which she was talking about earlier with wall walks, definitely matters in a workout like this.
Yeah. It's so interesting, too, it's just like how we game the sport and how other movements impact the other ones in the workout. And so this is also a way, you know, we've talked about this in some of our podcasts, but like, how do you analyze your performance and then know what to get better at? A workout like this may come out and you get crushed, but it may just be one movement that's making all the others suffer. And so you need to look at each of the movements and isolate those and see how they impact the others after that.
Yeah, Neil's a big man, and doing box,
a lot of box
that's
jump
just a lot of box
overs,
jump overs for a bigger athlete. So if he was able to do biking as opposed to jumping, then the net effect might be different in terms of the speed he could hold here. But it's just something to think about as you're watching people do these workouts. There's a lot of different ways to approach Metcons to get your best score based on how your body's set up and what you're good at.
I haven't talked to him, but I would assume that the pause on the wall walk on the way up is not a shoulder fatigue pause for him and more of a spot to breathe pause.
At the top?
Yeah, where he like kind of pushes his butt back a little bit before he moves his feet.
Got it.
So he started at around 5 seconds per wall walk, which is super fast. I mean, that's basically what the fastest guys and girls are holding. The last 3 that he just did, he was like 7.5 to 8 seconds. So there's some deterioration, but that's going to happen to everyone. But to Mia's point earlier, if you can keep that 5, or maybe you only have to a 6 second as opposed to 5 to 8 seconds, then that's going to win a workout as opposed to falling off.
Yeah, it seems kind of irrelevant, but 3 seconds for 3 reps is 9 seconds per round. And if you're doing 4 or 5 rounds, then you're talking about a pretty substantial amount of work. It's another 45 seconds that people are working while you're, just taking longer doing the reps.
Yeah.
It looks like the box jumps are starting to get more labored as well, which I guess you mentioned last time.
It ends up being a lot. You think about last year's workout, someone did 13 rounds of that workout and there were 15 box jumps.
It's amazing.
That's just so many jumps and so many snatches.
I can't do that.
I can't do
200. More than 150.
200. It's a lot. It's a lot of reps, and so you have to be prepared for the volume.
Yeah, so at this point in the workout, I think it just becomes about maintaining your speed. So all of these kind of longer Metcons, things that are 15 minutes of work, or this one's 14 minutes of work, but 15 minutes of total time, I think they really get separated on the leaderboard after the halfway point. So figuring out how to stay fast, keep your transitions quick, not take longer breaks is really what most people are doing at this point. And that's happening at elites, just trying to slow down a little bit less, or intermediates to not be taking like 20 or 30 second rest breaks.
You can see the turnover here is getting a little tough, but I mean, he's so strong with the dumbbells. I think Max talked about this with a dumbbell snatch, but like anybody that's not that strong, the double dumbbell is going to be very challenging. And so I would encourage everyone that is not comfortable, break those up. I know it's only 6, but do 3, take a 3-second rest, do 3, and then try to keep your cadence on something else faster.
Yeah, one thing that if you can try to figure it out, so it says dumbbell power clean, but you're not really using the same power clean mechanics as you are with an actual barbell. If you can almost think of them sometimes like you're deadlifting it up and then swinging them and almost doing assisted bicep curls, sometimes that can make the movement a little bit just less stressful. You have to have the arm strength to do that, but it might be a way to make it a little bit less metabolic if you're getting jacked up from the amount of jumping in it.
Zach was doing like a little bit more of a squat pattern in them, which might be more realistic because he's not doing box jump overs, but that could be a way if your back is starting to get fatigued.
Oh, your back from bending over and touching on the floor?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that being a limiter, but with the wall walk and that combined and the jumping, I actually could imagine that getting challenging.
One thing that everyone needs to be aware of is the standard that your hands have to be back on the line before your feet hit the ground. He got close on a couple of those. I think it's just so easy when you get tired to like drop your feet quickly on the wall walk and then your hands aren't all the way on the line. So just make sure you're training that, practicing that. When you do this workout, make sure you're reviewing your tape or your video to make sure that you're doing it correctly.
Yeah, review tape.
Yeah,
Game tape,
football.
baby.
Yeah.
So we talked about this last week with Nicole. He's fully facing the box as he's jumping over. He does kind of rotate as he's jumping, so he doesn't have to fully rotate on top of the box, but maybe if he has a little bit more of a lateral stance jumping up onto the box, it might help spend less time in that squat position.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that just jumping up onto the box is getting just more labored and a little bit less natural in the landing position. But I think that's probably about, it's going to happen for most people just with the amount of jumping in this. I'm really not looking forward to doing this workout.
I would say his speed is actually similar to what most people look like at the end of 22.1. Yep. So he's not going slow, but I think if you want an elite level score, you're going to have to keep that same cadence that you kept on your first round.
Yeah, but you already know that if you're striving for elite, you're basically going fast, always staying fast, and then you finish fast.
Just incredible. All right, so he has a minute left. This is the time we always talk about, but being aware now that we're thinking about the open and quarterfinals and maximizing your score, your placing on the leaderboard, of knowing when to kick and then practicing your kick in these situations. So like whenever that may be, some people can have to wait until 20 seconds left. Some people can do it at a minute or 2 minutes, but start practicing it now and push yourself at the end of a workout.
Yeah, I think the intensity of the kick really depends on what movement you're getting
for sure,
right? Like if you're thinking that you're going to finish on wall walks, that's a hard movement to like sprint. It's just like make your transitions a little quicker. If you're here, you can tell his cadence just like he's touching and rebounding right back up. So this is a strong finishing kick. And this is, what it looks like when you're at the end of a workout and okay, I'm going to get my relief very soon. Now empty the tank.
Yeah. Oh no, he jumped off.
No rep on the last one.
I was going to say warn that because I saw so many people last year do that, jumping off on their final
last
rep.
one, yeah.
But good job, Neil.
Well done. We just started our open prep cycle in TTT Compete. To see 6 of the featured workouts from this training cycle with demos from our on-site athletes and get a free month for a friend if you sign up before January 7th, visit trainingthinktank.com/compete.